Hello and welcome to the POV of Ocean Boulevard and a chat about the current status that we are seeing in Myrtle Beach. There's the sign right there. We are northbound heading out of Surfside into Ocean Boulevard, and we're gonna ride Ocean Boulevard all the way from here to the end of the commercial district into what's known as the Golden Mile, where the really nice residential homes are. And as we make this trip, we are going to discuss how Myrtle Beach is handling the current national, global situation. As of this recording, it is Friday afternoon on March 20th. So this situation changes hour by hour. Every time there's a press conference, something is altered. So that being said, keep that in mind if you're watching this video in the future. So hi there, future people. Anyway, so the current state is very similar to most other places in the southeast right now. We are experiencing all sit-down restaurants, dining rooms are closed. You can no longer go into a restaurant and sit down and loiter, if you will, in their establishments. You can only pick up your food and go. So with that in mind, restaurants are still open. They're operating. You can go get yourself some fast food or a coffee. You just can't stay in the restaurant. Aside from that, all the schools are closed, similar to everywhere else in the country. All the local municipal facilities are closed to the public. The municipalities, utility providers, they're all still operating just fine. Just the public no longer has access to those facilities because we're in a pseudo state of not lockdown, but hunkering down, if you will. But as we're driving, you can see people are walking around the boulevard. It is still an active town. We still have people on vacation enjoying their holiday. There's still people on the beach, and a lot of the local establishments are trying to maintain their services while still abiding by the state and federal rules that are being put in place right now to keep everyone safe. Now, I mentioned that there's still people on the beach, and as of the recording of this, Mayor Bethune has stated that beach activities are still allowed, just not in large groups. The governor, McMaster, has also stated that he's going to be releasing operatives, if you will, to patrol the beaches and make sure that we don't have groups. So my prediction, which if you're watching this from the future, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is they'll be shutting down the beaches in the next few days. But we'll keep an eye on that and let you know, because at the moment, the beaches are very active. Momentarily, we are going to pass by the hub of the boulevard, whatever you want to call it, where the pavilion used to be. There is a set of volleyball courts there, right there on the boardwalk, and they are full of people actively playing volleyball as if none of this is going on. And I commend them for continuing to live their active lives while so many others are living in fear at the moment. But all that being said, let's continue this drive northbound up the boulevard. And a lot of what you see will speak volumes compared to what you're seeing elsewhere in other cities and other towns. Myrtle Beach is really still operating relatively normal. Now I say normal, it's quotation that, because yes, the service industry is being hit hard, very hard right now. If you are a server or a cook, or if you work at any of these local places that have closed, your income is being affected, and I feel for you. It sucks. With that being said, let's go over real quick what kind of places have closed so far and where you can't visit right now if you are visiting town. All right, so a lot of attractions have closed, aside from the restaurant situation, which we've discussed. Theaters, of course, where people come together in groups to be entertained, are closed. So the Carolina Opry is closed. The Asher Theater on Highway 501 is closed. Places like Dave & Buster's has closed. The Franklin Burroughs Art Museum. The House of Blues, of course, because of concerts. Legends in Concert, Medieval Times. The baseball stadium for the Myrtle Beach Pelicans is closed. The Pirates Voyage is closed. Ripley's Aquarium has also closed its doors. A surprising one, Brook Green Gardens. If you're familiar with the area or this channel, you know it's one of my favorite spots in this area to visit. Their interior services have been closed, so their restaurants and their indoor museums, but the gardens themselves, as of this recording, are still open. So you can still go to the gardens at Brook Green Garden if you're in town and you're looking for something to do. Places like the Sky Wheel, they closed down last week, actually. They closed down early. Top Golf, that new, how would you describe it, virtual golf course? It's like a driving range that keeps score. That is closed down. Wonderworks, the place that everyone calls the Upside Down House, that is closed. And even the smaller establishments like Rocket Jump, our local trampoline gymnasium, that has closed as well. Along with establishments closing and restaurants having issues, we've also got a lot of events in town. The Can-Am days for the Canadian visitors, those have been canceled, all the events for that. The Dragon Boat Festival that we have at the Market Common where they race the boats, they canceled that. And the Myrtle Beach Food Truck Festival, that's been postponed, not canceled. So I'm looking forward to the new dates for that. We are entering the busiest section of the boulevard. To your left would have been the pavilion. Also to the right would have been the pavilion. The attic club would have been to your right. And the Sky Wheel's back there. This is typically the busiest area of the boulevard, and that stands today as well. It's kind of hard to see with this camera, I apologize, but to the right, the volleyball courts are bustling with activity. The boardwalk, there's people walking up and down the boardwalk, just enjoying their time at the beach. You would never know there was a pandemic at the moment if you were visiting the boardwalk at this time. So as we go down the strip, you'll see the Fun Plaza is open and some of the small shops. Now Ripley's, believe it or not, on your left, that is closed. They closed when Ripley's Aquarium closed. They're a chain, a national chain, so they have to make sweeping decisions across the board. Some of these smaller shops are locally owned, so they get to make their own call. So going back to the closures, I mentioned restaurants are doing carry-out only, but a lot of restaurants just straight up closed their doors. A lot of places that don't have the capacity to deliver or to have pickup orders. So your large seafood buffets have closed up, like your Krabby George's Seafood. Places like those closed up shop. Lobster House Seafood Restaurant, T-Bone's Grill, Taco Mundo at Barefoot Landing, they closed up. Flying Fish, they closed up. A lot of restaurants just decided to close their doors and don't have a date posted yet because no one really knows. So we just have to check the news and keep an eye and ear out for when these establishments will reopen. Especially if you have a trip planned in the next few weeks or few months, that might be something you want to really keep your eye on to know what's going to be available for you when you make it to town, because we don't know how long this situation is going to last. with all of this in mind, knowing what's going on and seeing the activity on the boulevard, I'm very curious how this scene is going to play out in the next few weeks. Will we have a family like we see right here on screen with, groceries heading to their hotel room, seem to be on holiday, or is it going to be a ghost town? We'll have to revisit as long as we are allowed, that is, to be on the streets and pick up footage like this to share with you guys and gals. We'll make our way out if it's possible and document the situation as it changes. But like I said earlier, business as usual at the moment. If you were ignorant to the fact of what was happening, you wouldn't know there was, like I said, a pandemic going on just by looking at the activity on the boulevard. Now, I will say it's not the crazy hustle and bustle that you typically would see during spring break, but it's also not a ghost town, so keep that in mind. Coming up here on the right is the Breakers Resort. We've visited here several times in the last few months. I will return again once it's a-okay to be walking around there. The demolition seems to be progressing slightly. Of course, it is a little slowed due to the nature of things, but as you can see on the right, they are still operating and removing debris. There it is. So we will revisit the Breakers and see what's up, because I know a lot of you really like those updates because you've got plans or you've been there before and it's a familiar area, so it's always fun to see the changes and the dynamic nature of a location in Myrtle Beach that you're familiar with. So let's sit back and just continue this POV down the road, and we'll go ahead and finish up the commercial district and head on into the residential district. Alright everybody, if you've made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. And until next time, take it easy.